go.
Welcome everyone to an episode of the S.o.a.p. I am Daniel and I'm joined by Mike. Today we're doing a smaller episode on Killing Floor. I believe, Mike, you've been getting into a bit of Killing Floor recently.
Killing Floor 2, Dan. But playing Killing Floor 2, I've actually had a look through and a bit of research and whatever on Killing Floor number 1.
So you didn't play 1 back in the day?
No, not back in the day. I was more of a Counter-Strike guy.
Yeah? It's actually got a bit of a Counter-Strike feel to it.
It does indeed.
Look at some of the old videos and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I actually played a little bit once it came out. I remember choosing between...
When did it come out?
Well, there was a mod for it back in 2005, I think, if I remember correctly. It used to be on Unreal Tournament 4, if you remember that, all the way back there.
Good times had been had.
But then Tripwire made their own full standalone game for it. So they brought it out around about the whole Left 4 Dead kind of era. And if you looked at it just based on trailers, you could be forgiven for thinking, why are they doing that? It's just another Left 4 Dead. They're actually very different games. Where Left 4 Dead is a bit of a story, survival kind of thing.
A bit of a campaign, yeah.
Killing Floor is just a wave survival kind of game. Going back, Killing Floor 1, played it on PC.
Yep.
When it first came out, not so much content in that. By the time I got it though, the developer really had been pushing it. So once you bought the original game, you got all your X amount of maps and guns and all that kind of stuff. But after a while, they started releasing more and more, and they had a lot of community stuff and that. They built up this really big community in that with it. But yeah, you survive wave after wave against what are called Zeds, which are kind of like a zombie kind of creature. Do you know much about the plot, or...?
So it was apparently as a video. If you go on, you search for it and just type in Killing Floor. Now the video was done after the game, but it was done where you had some activists breaking into this lab.
Ah, you're talking about the one that was actually a promotional for number 2.
I see.
So maybe jumping the gun a little bit, but it does kind of explain loosely where these kind of things come from, and that was actually a really good video. A little bit low budget, but what do you expect? They weren't making a whole movie or that.
Correct.
The first game actually goes back to England.
England.
Yeah, so the accents in the game are very, very strong.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing. Yeah. Like even if they don't tell you where you are, because in number 1 you hear the English accents, and number 2 you're hearing the French accents with it. And
you're still doing a bit of English accents there.
Yeah, there's a little bit. They carried on some of the assets and that from the first game and that. But it's based around a company called Horzine Biotech. So they're a biotechnology company.
Sounds evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil style kind of, making the world better, but not really.
Not Dr. Evil, like with my pinky to my mouth.
But they get contracted to conduct experiments of a military nature.
Right.
So they're cloning things, genetic manipulation, all that kind of stuff. Essentially, as with all great storylines, something goes wrong. Next minute, outbreak.
Yep.
And that's kind of what throws you into it.
All these pesky poms fiddling where their fiddles don't belong.
Pretty much they break out, start killing everyone. Everything, everything becomes all about like a zombie kind of apocalypse. This one... Is this
one of the first few wave games that that was during that time?
I would assume so.
Waves of zombies.
I think other games would have modes here or there of that, whereas this dedicated itself. And I guess that comes back to the fact that it was originally a mod for Unreal Tournament. So I guess, like all mods, they kind of take on those alternate kind of style of plays. This one then went, obviously everyone likes it, so we'll make that into a whole game. And they've gone quite strong with it. So, I mean, back in the day, that got pretty good reviews from what I can remember. I think they sit in the 70s for Killing Floor 1. But the big thing for that was that they really took the community on board. And they had events for people in the community to create maps and that kind of stuff, remembering that that's where they as a company started from. And lots of free content. There was no buy expansions, buy DLC or anything like that. It was just, here's the game, you buy it and you get everything. Everything from day one and everything they released after it. Free. Yeah. And it's that kind of model, I think, that really, brought them a lot of goodwill from the community. And then, yeah, they brought out that short film. Tell everyone about the short film. I know you loved it.
Well, so yes, as we were saying before, the activists running into this thing, they're going through trying to break into this warehouse or research facility, and there's a doctor's like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "Oh, we're just and he's like, "I'm calling security," and then they realize there's a person locked in this thing. They're like, "Oh my god." Like all stupid activists, they're all like, let's save the whales, and the whale could be like a radio mutant thing. So they release this dude, and they press the button, they don't know what's going on. And they've unleashed all these zombies and these Zeds, and they just start killing everybody. And so it's very much a first-person view. You're like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And then they run outside, they get chased by all these zombies, they escape this, they escape that. And then they get to the end in his van trying to run away, and then some idiot forgets to close the door, and they all die.
That's my favorite part of that film is that they make it all the way out through all the Zeds attacking everyone. Everyone's dying around them.
It's like a newbie guy, wasn't he? He's like, "You're new," and he's like, "I forgot to shut the."
Yeah, just doesn't shut the door. They're just sitting there having a chat, literally as it's all happening around.
Just like, that was lucky, guys. Now let's go home and have a spot of tea. Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
So Killing Floor 2.
Killing Floor 2, man.
That came out November 2016.
Yeah, okay.
Now, unlike the first one, which was PC only,
console.
There's PS4 available for it.
Love it.
Now, I believe that's what you play on?
Yes, indeed. PS4. It was done through the PlayStation Store for a special.
So PlayStation Plus?
PlayStation Plus.
Yep, right. So that was a free game in June, I think? I think we actually mentioned it on the podcast back at the time.
Yeah.
So you grabbed that for free, actually?
Yes, I did. Guilty as charged.
Would you recommend people buy the game? If
Absolutely. It is, yes, a survival wave-length game. There are actually a few other ways of playing the game. You can play games where you can play as the zombie against your friends, or you can play different. Well, that game system there will do different things. So you can be a zombie. You could be it's a little crawly thing.
You got stalkers. You got the gore fast, the flesh pounders. Yeah. You can be all of them pretty much, all the way up to the big boss at the end of it. You can be that. And that's very much like Left 4 Dead, once again, going back to Left 4 Dead, in the fact that in Left 4 Dead, you can do the mode where 4 people walk along, gets to the end of the map, move on to the next one. Or you can do the mode where you've got the 4 people as the main characters, and everyone else is a zombie. So there were the smokers and, all of that, trying to stop the 4 main characters from Left 4 Dead from getting the end. And this is essentially the same, just without the story mode of this, where Left 4 Dead went a story route. So you go through the mission, you move on to a whole new map. This one's just the same map, and as you go along, you're buying new weapons, upgrading, all that. It's not so much finding it as you're earning your upgrades all the way up until you're fighting the boss.
Yeah, that's right. And the big difference with this is the detail. The graphics is just phenomenal. You're not playing a game of Counter-Strike. You're not playing a game from Unreal. It is its game in itself. It's got its own updated. I didn't even feel like I was playing a sequel game, and that was what was so good about it. And you can just jump on and just had a bad day at work. Come shoot some zombies. It's liberating.
Well, there's one thing to touch on with the graphics in that you may have almost not been able to play it because the graphics was done so well. The gore that's in that game, because you are killing Zeds, zombie-like creatures and that, and when you kill them, you'll be shooting their heads off, all that kind of stuff.
Boom, headshot.
Left 4 Dead 2 was famously banned and then restricted in Australia because of the level of gore.
Ridiculous.
When Killing Floor 2 came out, the gore level, it wasn't so graphic in terms of intestines flying and that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of blood. Blood, and by the end of 10 waves in a boss fight, you've killed so many things that whole areas will be red. And, you can really feel that vibe. It's certainly not a game for someone under 18.
Hell no.
Just because of that graphic level of the violence that does come out of it. So we are lucky that now we have the R18 plus rating in Australia. And even though it is still quite restrictive, we can still get some of those games through now that we couldn't in the past.
Absolutely.
Which, like South Park was under question. It only just got passed for R18 plus, and that's something that you see on TV every single day.
Yeah, exactly.
Which just kind of illustrates the different level that games have for restriction compared to, say, TV or that kind of stuff. But the graphics are quite great, whether you're playing on PC, which is where they first released it, or then they brought it over to the PS4. The gameplay still feels the same, but streamlined a bit more. You were watching the videos of the original.
Now they've got classes now. In the first one they didn't? Or?
No, they did have the classes in the first one, but they've expanded upon that. So they took the core, which I think they had something like 7 classes in the original one, and then they've gone and gone, what works for that, what doesn't. When Killing Floor 2 first came out on PC, it did the early access, which is where they released the game before they finished it. And the way that they did that on Steam was that they took a couple of the classes, I think it was 4 off the top of my head, and like 1 or 2 maps, and they said, you buy the game in early access, you can play these couple of maps, but only these classes. And that's how they were able to narrow down whether the class was working or wasn't. So you had those 4 classes, everyone gave them feedback, was like, yeah, this is working, this isn't. They're like, all right, sweet, we're happy with that level now. Here's a new class. Tell us about that one. And so as they released each class, everyone was giving feedback, so they didn't just slop on a class and go, yep, there's a guy with a shotgun, have fun. It was actually quite balanced and it was what the community wanted.
That's what you do though, with a shotgun, have fun. Just run around each other.
Even as a medic?
Even as a medic, yes. Well, my favourite class would be the medic.
Yep.
More or less because this is what I've heard from Dan. Some feedback is that I need to be more of a medic instead of a gun-ho. Freelance. However, I do like the dual ability to be a medic, but then pick up or buy or whatever a machine gun. And it'd be like, come on here, I'm going to kill your zombies. I'm going to kill your zombies over there. And then, I'm going to heal you. So that allows me the freedom to do what I like. Still be part of that class and still do that stuff. Like even if I am a medic and I want to play with fire, then my fire skills go up in that particular class. Is that not correct?
That is correct. And that's one of the good things about playing this is every action that you do levels up the reciprocant perk.
The matching, perk.
Yeah. So if you're using a handgun and there's a perk that uses handguns, then that will count towards that, even if that's not the class you're playing at the time. So if you're blowing up things with explosives, but you're not demolitionist, you're, say, the medic or that, then those grenade kills will actually count towards it. What we should probably clarify is that as a medic, there is already a shotgun and a machine gun there that you can use. But because they're more expensive, you get the ones without the healing ability.
Exactly.
So you spend most of the game not healing except for your grenades.
Except when you're yelling, heal me! I need healing! I'm like, I'm busy. I'm kind of way up. Busy. Good times indeed.
So you got the medic. The medic has guns that will both heal and damage people.
Yeah.
So your normal shots will kill the zombies, and you've got the shoulder trigger on the PlayStation to shoot a healing dart to heal people while you're shooting everyone. And then the grenades will both damage and heal. So they'll damage the enemies, and if you stand in it, it'll heal your players as well.
Would you say that's the best grenade out of all the grenades?
Probably, just because it covers both things. Yeah. But the issue with healing your own people is that they have to stand in there.
Correct.
And if you're killing things and they're standing there, then everyone's getting hit at the same time. Right. And so that's where that causes a bit of an issue with it, is that you're putting them in danger by forcing them to stand there.
Now, each class does have their own grenades, their own perks, their own weapons, per se.
Yep, so weapons and perks are quite different. So every 5 levels that you level up your class, so it has got a RPG kind of system where you
pick and
every
choose.
kill
it's
and every
choice
action.
Of 2, is it not?
Yeah. Every action you do levels up your character, and when you hit certain levels, that'll give you a perk on top of the normal boost. So each level will give you more damage, more healing, more armor, that kind of stuff. But then at levels 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25, you'll get a specific class perk, which you choose between the 2. So you can have one of the 2 active, and you can switch that at any point. There's no cost or anything like that. It's just a passive ability. So that may be that you can reload your gun faster, or that, which is one of the gunslinger's perks, for example.
One of your favourites.
Well, that's the one that I was working on because that class had such a slow reload. But each class also has their own designated weapons. So for the medic, it has ones that heal as well as do damage, and they're a little bit more expensive as a result. But then you'll have a shotgun class, pistol class, all that kind of stuff.
Machine gun class.
So yeah, the medic is probably one of the most popular one because you've got to have a medic, or you got to have people really on top of what they're doing. What else have you been playing?
I've been playing a bit of Berserker. Now, first of all, Berserker, I never really cared much for Berserker. However, I said, you know what, I'm gonna have a go, a bit of a change. Berserker is pretty much a melee class. So you start off with like a shovel, and you pretty much whack people to death, which is quite fun. However, you still start off with a pistol. I think everyone starts off with a pistol.
You always get a pistol, but your main weapon is the shovel.
It's a shovel. And then you can upgrade and get, like a katana. You can get a what do they call them? Zwig handler, which is a
crossover.
Sword.
That was the what was it? Chivalry.
Yes.
Yeah, it's from Chivalry.
Well, yeah, it's a big sword. Anyway.
They did a cross promotion with it back in the day, and they've kept that going.
And then like you can work up to do like a chainsaw gun.
Yeah, so it's got the spinning blade on the end, which you can.
Or I've even got it up to where the shield and the big club. So you just kind of block and then whack. And then
like
block.
a Viking style?
More think of like a zombie apocalypse thing where it's like a sewer drain or like a bin lid. I don't really know what it is, but it just works. And you can have this big club with a spike. And then you just like whack. And then the people go. And then half the time. So it's not just, it's quite fun. And then I like support, which is just helping people. People come to you and they say, I want ammo. You go, here's some ammo. Or
you don't hand out the ammo. They choose to take it off you.
Just go up to you and they say press 0, and then done. You got ammo.
So the support one is the shotgun specific class.
Correct.
You start off with just a single barrel shotgun.
Yep.
Reloading that.
That's just a pump action. It's just
pump action. That's what I'm looking for.
You've also got the firebug, which starts off with a cork and burner. So everyone who's not aware what that is pretty much a corking gun that you would use in a hardware aspect, but filled with flammable liquid and a match. What is it, like a match or a lighter or something? Anyway, they just go and burn things. So that's quite fun, and that gives me ideas. But you shouldn't have those ideas. And
so the firebug is all about burning things. So you start with the cork and burn, which is a little puff of flames.
It's a basic flamethrower, pretty much.
It's a mini flamethrower, like a homemade kind of little one. Yeah. But you do actually get the actual proper flamethrower, and then you've got the microwave gun.
There's my Spitfires, which are like revolvers, but they shoot out flaming pistol rounds at you.
So the firebug has a couple of normal guns, a shotgun and that, but has flaming bullets for it as well. So adds its own little touch on a couple of things, because you get bored just flamethrower. Yeah. So they went back to some of the traditional guns and did that. Yeah. Compared to...
That's a good idea. Great idea.
Yeah, whereas the shotgun, like the support class, it's just shotguns all the way up to the... Was it AA-12, I think is the gun?
Yes.
Which is my favourite gun out of all of it. Just unloading 20 shotgun bullets into someone on the spot.
I have to say mine is the M16-203, which is a machine gun with grenade launcher. And I just go kaboom.
But the support is also there to weld doors. I think that's one thing.
I think anyone can weld doors.
Anyone can weld it, but he's a class specifically designed for it. So everyone gets a welder. Yeah. But he can weld them better, hold them stronger, repair everything a lot better.
I did not know this. Very good.
Yeah, you've got to look at what you can do.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'll be jumping on there then.
Which is just like the Berserker is there to also soak up a bit more damage for it. So he can resist... Because he's always going to be in the front line. You're always in close combat range. Means that if you didn't have the extra resistance, you're always going to die quickly. You're going to be the first person to die, which is the opposite of what they want that to happen. So the Berserker is actually one that can survive longer, especially against like the bloats and that kind of stuff that are going to be over there. Yep. But his role is more to take out the little guys whilst holding everything back. You want the other classes that can do a bit more damage than him to actually take down flesh pounders, Skrakes, and all that kind of stuff. The big heavy guys that are really going to give you the trouble. But then you got the gunslinger.
Yeah.
Pistols. It's like a cowboy western kind of...
Winchester.
Yeah.
1875 revolver.
So you can do the dual pistols.
Yep.
You've got the dual magnums.
Well, it's just pretty much a dual. You've got like your Colts.
So it's Colts,
11s.
Magnums, Desert Eagles, and
Yeah.
then if you want to, you can add like a Winchester or all of that. But it's not really how the class feels.
It's more like a dual sharpshooter.
So it's designed for headshots as well. That's
Yeah.
one of the things for it, just like the sharpshooter is. I find sharpshooter and the gunslinger to be a bit similar. The sharpshooter is probably more the single gun version of the gunslinger.
Sniper rifle,
Yeah, rifles and all that kind of stuff. Aiming for headshots once again. The main two pistols you get for the gunslinger I find are really slow to reload. So even though you can deal out a fair bit of damage, as soon as you get like the heavy kind of amounts of enemies coming at you, you're stuck reloading, and that reload is just that extra bit longer, gets you stuck quite often, which is why I think it's about level 15 you can get the perk to reload faster for your class guns, just so you can stay in that fight a bit longer, which I think is probably the most important things for that class.
Indeed.
What else you got? Demolitionist?
Demolitionist, you've got...
Which does?
demolition is grenades.
Grenades.
And...
Grenade pistol?
Grenade pistol, yes. That's always a fun thing to do.
So instead of a normal pistol like the other classes get, or where the Berserker has the shovel...
He gets his traditional pistol and the grenade pistol.
Yeah. Well, the pistol comes with everyone. That's a backup gun. You don't really want to be using that. You want to use your class gun. So he gets the grenade pistol, which...
sell that,
Yeah. Someone's dirty over that. So it shoots like a little mini grenade into the enemies, which will sometimes blow them up if you're a bit too close. Doesn't like to blow them up. It's a bit of a trickier one to do.
Yeah.
But as you go up the guns in that, you end up with the good stuff. You get the Claymores, I think it is, C4, get the rocket launcher, grenade launcher, all the good guns that you're really looking at. They're the kind of things that are really going to take a boss or a heavy kind of guy down, or a group of enemies at once.
And then there's your like super favorite, which is SWAT.
SWAT's one, I've never... the guns don't do it for me.
Well, that's because they're small caliber. You're looking at an MP5, you're looking at a P90, you're looking at possibly a shotgun, but they're just designed so you could, I'm playing MP5, sniper, SWAT, feeling. You've also got the random one, which gives you a random weapon.
Survivalist. That's a very unique one because it's good if you don't know what to play or if you don't know what you feel like.
Yeah,
so for someone who's new to the game, has no idea what a class is, all that kind of stuff. If you're like, you have no idea, try this. It's going to give you some random stuff. Play it for a little bit until you work out what you like.
You didn't tell me that. I don't recall.
No, because I knew what was good.
Oh, you knew. Yes, Mum.
But for the people listening that don't know what to do or that, that's a good way of just playing around, working out, I really like this gun. Where does that fit in? You might end up with a flamethrower and be like, oh yeah, flamethrowers are my favorite.
I think I started with a commando, didn't I?
Your very first?
Yeah. That was, I'm pretty sure we did the commando. Let's just get this straight on the record. Dan was like, do the commando. And I was like, all right, I'll start with the commando, which was a basic AR-15, more like it's like a baby M16. And only 20 shots, thank you very much. Not impressed with that at all.
The commando's got its own special ability. Like all the classes, they fit in there somewhere. The commando sees invisible units and allows everyone in the group to see those invisible units.
Yeah.
So some of the enemies will be completely invisible that you won't be able to see at all.
The ninja chicks.
Yeah, those are the ones. You'll just see a little bit of a glimmer, and they're 99% impossible to see.
That's right.
Until they're on you and attacking you.
Yeah,
so the commando allows you to see them, and that's a huge advantage. You know when things are coming at you. Also with the boss fights. Sometimes in the boss fight, the boss will go invisible and run off with the Patriarch. The commando will help you. He'll see you. You'll be able to see him running off. Still not easy to catch up to the boss or that kind of stuff. But it's still there. So that's why the commando is an important class for it. So I probably just wanted a commando in the group, and that's why I told you to play that.
Thanks a lot. What about selling? This whole trading pod.
Yep.
So after every round, it says, you must get to the trading pod. And you're like, cool, done. So that's where you upgrade. That's where you do ammo resupply. That's where you do most of the outside gaming of it.
Yeah, so it's in between rounds. So games will be either 4, 7, or 10 waves.
Yep.
You can choose that before you go into a game. Once you're into that, based on that determines how many Zeds are going to spawn
Mm-hmm.
and how much money you're going to get. And then in between the waves, you then go upgrade all your guns. You can buy whichever you want. And remembering that you don't have to buy your class's guns.
Correct.
You can buy it from any of the classes that you want to. The idea behind it is pretty much to do your own classes ones, unless you've got like a particular play style where you combine a couple of things.
Yes.
So for you, that was a medic grenade and a really cheap shotgun for early waves.
Early waves was, yes, the cheap shotgun. Then it went to the machine gun after that. And then I usually ended up with my Spitfires and the M28, the 203, sorry. And then I actually started playing with the Stoner machine gun, which is the big, like an M60. Like, come on, let's get here, get to the chopper. So, yes, but that's expensive though. So
the other thing to, I guess people should be aware of is that there's a weight limit. So each gun has its own weight limit. Yep. So you might be able to hold
15, is it?
15.
Yes.
Some guns might be 6 or 8, depending on how big the gun is, which is obviously going to determine how much damage is going to come out of it. And so what guns you have is determined on how much weight you've got. So you need to pick whatever your main gun is going to be and then try and fit in other guns around that so that you've got enough ammunition to last a whole wave while still doing the amount of damage you need to.
Now, you can pick up guns and ammo and maybe even armor throughout the levels depending on the level as well.
And if your teammates die.
And if your teammates die.
If your teammates die, the gun that they're holding normally gets dropped, so you can pick that up, which is really handy when you start losing a wave, you're by yourself.
Correct.
You got to pick up their slack, but you got no bullets. Pick up their guns.
Isn't that what happened to me? That happened to me the other day.
Yeah?
Yeah, and someone was watching you like, good job, good job, good job. I was like, I survived a wave on my own. And I was like, one wave, first wave, second wave. It was the first wave.
Yeah.
Of a hard level. And somebody made hard level. People, hard! Anyway, now the bosses, we've got 2 big bad bosses.
Now in the first game we only had the one, which was the Patriarch. When Killing Floor 2 came out, it just had Dr. Hans Volta.
Hans Volta, you scummy scumbags. That's more or less him.
That's him.
Yeah.
But they did bring back the Patriarch to give it a bit more, because that's one of the probably the big issues with Killing Floor 1, and I guess still a little bit with Killing Floor 2, is you go through all the waves, you know, which if you just played that all day, every day, that would get a bit repetitive. Yeah. The boss is there to change it up for you, change your strategy so you're not just doing the same thing.
Well, it gives you a goal in the end of the games, you know, like
correct.
You're working up to it.
But in saying that, it's the same goal every time. It's that same boss. So they added the Patriarch back to it. Personally, I'd like to see them add a couple more bosses. So. Bit of variety, bit different play styles. You know, maybe one where there's 2 bosses of some sort, or something to change it up once again so you're not always... Because you don't know what your boss is going to be. You don't know what's going to happen. Something to keep you on your toes and keep it a bit different with it all.
Absolutely.
What else have we missed?
We've got the game styles. You've got 2 ways of doing it. I like to do when I'm playing on the microphone and I'll copy the voice. Like, there'll be a French commentator host system, AI. She'll be like, your friends are dying, but we will move on and save them and do this, and you're running low on ammo. And I'm like, and I don't care what you think, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So that's a bit fun for me. Or like I'll go on the microphone and I'll be like, come on, get to the trading post, let's go quickly, the time is running out. Like, even time is important when you've got what you're buying from a supply pod. You've got 30 seconds. Then, you know, this female voice will go, your time is running out, you know, zombies are coming, be quick and stuff. And then it's all about working as a team.
Well, speaking of teams and time, the new mode that they've only just recently added a couple of weeks ago was the weekly. Each week there is a weekly mode.
A challenge, if you will.
A challenge. Different things to do it. One was like headshots only for it.
Well, then they shrunk down to a little size and they're like, me, 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 me. You're like, boom! And then they go, that was good fun. Or bobblehead one. They played the recently one.
That's this week's one, I believe. Yeah.
It's like James Bond in the 64. Bubblehead, I'm going to eat you because I'm bubble. So that was good fun.
Yeah, each week is a different challenge kind of forces you to learn a little bit of a different play style. The reward for doing that is a unique item that you get to customize.
Collectibles, yes.
Character customization, there's always been a little bit there. You'd always be able to get a couple of different skins. The game pretty much came with everything, and then there'd be like one or two extras that you could add on top of that. But once we mentioned that they brought out the game for PlayStation Plus, when it went free on that for that 1 month is probably coinciding with when they added some microtransactions to the game. So tell us a little bit about those microtransactions.
Well, microtransactions, you can add customability to your game, to your actual character. So say, for instance, I wanted a fancy weapon or a skin for that weapon. You'd have to look at actually putting some money into it and getting something back. You can do collectible things where you have a certain way of a certain how would you say where you've got to work up to it. So say, for instance, there was one season area, it'll look like an update where they did Tragic Kingdom, and that was a new map where you had a clown, let's just say killer clowns running after you and things from the circus, and you could actually try and you keep playing that for a few times and kept winning, you actually get rewards.
So when they release a map, which is something they've been doing for free, constantly going back to the original Killing Floor 1 where they got the community involved and that kind of stuff. Killing Floor 2, they're continuing that. So past the release date, they've released 4, I think, maps so far, and they'll still keep doing that kind of stuff as they go along. To coincide with the Tragic Kingdom map, they created an event which changed the skins of all Zeds. Yep. So it made them all into clowns and carnival themed kind of stuff. And then in the map itself, there's a couple of mini games. One of them's the wheel that spins around. You got to shoot the light bulbs out.
That's right.
One's where you got to throw the money into the bins.
Yep.
There was the duck shooting one.
Yeah, with skull heads.
Which they did their own theme on. And there's one more we're missing, I think.
No.
No, that's it.
Pretty sure it was only 3 or 4. No.
There was a 4th.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Escapes us now. But
fun thing was, there was a carousel that I used to always run to. Because if you start off the game, you have to turn on generators. Now, certain things around the park will allow you to defeat zombies and yada, yada, yada. However, this carousel had one big, bench, and you'd stay in the middle, and you turn on the generator, and the carousel would start to spin, and zombies would come towards you, and they would be hit by the carousel swing and fly, and become dazed and easy to kill. So it was always good fun when you're getting chased by a big dude and he's like, brrr. You're like, run to the middle, wait, watch the swing, just come towards him and go, put-toot, and he flies half across the thing. It was good fun.
It was tactical as well, though, because it stuns them, it knocks them down, and you get to
buys
shoot
you
them
a few more seconds of reloading, of doing things like that. Also, with the whole more time, is that slow-mo effect.
Yep.
When you do headshots.
So that's one of the features of the gameplay, is that when you get a headshot...
everything's slow.
But not every time.
It's
a chance to slow down time. Yep. And I guess there's one thing when The Matrix, the movie, came out, and then they tried to make games based off that kind of stuff. How do we do slow motion in games, you know? How does one person get slow motion and not the other people? Well, the answer is simple. Everyone gets a slow-mo. Because you're all on the same team, it doesn't impact. There's no disadvantage. So when one person gets a headshot, it has a chance for everyone to create a slow motion for 5 to 10 seconds, which everyone can then, and it gives you that advantage in it. And that's another reason to play smart, get the headshots, don't just, hold the trigger down, that kind of thing. Play smart, get the slow motion, then you can aim properly, get more headshots. Get out of trouble. And
Very impressed.
But that was the thing with that map, is that it was interactive. They started adding things more. And it's one of the things that the developers shown is that they haven't just rested on the fact that this is what they made, that's all it's going to be. Yeah. Killing Floor 2 is very much like Killing Floor 1, but more polished, more updated, it's just more. That's exactly how you would do it. So the maps are different, but the gameplay is still the same, but the gameplay is more polished for it. And once again, this Tragic Kingdom map was another example of them going, well, here's our formula. How can we add even more to keep it not from getting stale? And that was adding a generator, adding mini games, adding traps, all that kind of stuff into this one map. And that makes it probably one of the most enjoyable maps now that's available for it.
We're not seeing a chance of Killing Floor 3 then anytime soon.
Well, I can't imagine it. They're very good at supporting the games, which means that there's probably still a lot more content that they have planned for this game. I think once another generation of consoles will happen, then they'll probably look at doing that kind of thing. But there's no need for it. They're making good content right now, and based on what they did from going from Killing Floor 1 to Killing Floor 2, it's essentially new maps, updated classes, all that kind of stuff. They can already do that in their current game. The graphics are still at the level it needs to be. The gameplay is still smooth. There's not really... They've added the microtransactions that I guess they wanted to add.
Yeah.
There's not a need for a new game.
Yeah.
It's better to give you more value for your money and add better content and make sure that when you hear Killing Floor 3, you're going to want to jump on that. And that's what they do for me, is when I hear they're doing something, as soon as I heard Killing Floor 2, I was like, wow, they did so well with Killing Floor 1. You know, they really supported it. I want to see what they do. So I don't see a Killing Floor 3 coming, but when it does come, count me in.
Absolutely. I would like to see them do, let's say, an update of the roller coaster where you can go on the roller coaster and like around, and then zombies will jump on you, and then you go wee, and then wee.
I think what you're looking for is the Until Dawn VR game.
Probably.
Which is a literal on-rail shooter. So you got your VR headset on.
Right.
You're in a cart going through like a mine or whatever.
Right.
And you just sit there shooting everyone as they come past you as you drive along.
We'll do something like, SeaWorld or something like that. Yeah.
You want to shoot dolphins?
Why not? Malcolm, let's go. Get a big Free Willy out there. And you just shoot. That's the big boss. He could be the big boss.
Be like the Japanese on South Park?
Yeah.
Fuck you, whale. Fuck you, dolphin.
Fuck you guys. You got me my tuna, or something cool. Yeah, they've got ideas and prospects.
All right, well, we'll wrap this up for everyone. It was a bit of a shorter episode, just the two of us. We thought
just the two of us.
Thought we'd just do a little simpler episode and shorter to keep everyone going along. Yeah. To wrap it up, Mike, Killing Floor 2. Recommend it to everyone, and why would you recommend it?
I recommend it to everybody. A thumbs up from me. So I recommend the game to anyone because it's something actually you can. It's not the same repetitive thing, even though it is the same repetitive thing. It's not.
That makes no sense.
Sorry to confuse everybody. However, you've got different things you can do. There's no same way of playing the game twice. Always something different. You might go, hey, cool, I'm going to do this time. May not work the next time. And then depending on the actual people you play with, because this is actually, you can do it, you can get massacred on your own, or you can try and get done with friends. It's it's like a game you can just play. After work, done. I need some stress relief. Have a bit of fun and shoot people in the head. I like it. I'm excited about it.
And I would also recommend it. It's easy fun. You don't need to think. Graphics are great. The developer supports the game, and that for me is the important part. Is that they made a good game and they support it.
Yeah.
And
like with Doom, you can't just stand there and shoot. Like Doom and this game allows you gotta move. You gotta move, man. You gotta move. A lot of people play Call of Duty or whatnot, and they'll just stand there and camp. And this game, they're coming towards you and they're going to grab you. One of the small little gameplays is where the basic zombies will come and grab you and hold you, and then that allows the other zombies to come and surround you and kill you. So you've got to constantly move, people. I cannot stress this enough for you, that you need to move around, okay? Shooting people. It's what you got to do. That's my 2-bit advice right there. Okay.
All right.
Take it or leave it. Okay. Take it or leave it.
All right. Well, good, easy fun. We all like it here at the S.o.a.p. We hope you do. Hope you enjoyed this episode as well.
The Dan and Mike Show.
The Dan and Mike Show. So we look forward to some feedback on it. As always, hit us up on Facebook.
Any other reviews or anything you guys want us to try, we'll give it a go, see what we can do. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe.
Quickly, get to the supply pod.